Welcome to yet another episode of Blocks and Barriers with Tracy, the health coach myself. Today, I have a special guest with me here. I have Tanya Ranguma, a distinguished actuary with a wealth of experience in pricing and reserving within the insurance industry. Tanya currently serves as a senior pricing actuary, where she currently specializes in personal auto insurance. With a solid background in actuarial science and a proven track record, Tanya is bringing a unique perspective to the field and to the conversation. Beyond her professional achievements, she is passionate about innovation and entrepreneurial opportunities. I am so thrilled to have her here with us because Tanya is also family. Tanya is my cousin. So it is a pleasure to introduce her today to come and share with us insights and experience as an actuary. Tanya, welcome.
Thanks.
How was that introduction?
I'm amazed at myself.
You don't recognize yourself. You may be thinking, why would I bring someone? How does actuarial science come into healthcare? Well, this is the story. Or maybe I should give the story after I let you talk a bit, then I'll give the link why, or the reason why we're having this conversation. So to begin with, what is an actuary? Because I'm sure not many people have heard what an actuary is or what actuarial science is. So tell us, what is that?
Well, it's very broad. It's not just one thing, but I guess the summarized version of it is an actuary is someone who basically estimates risk, future risk. So you try to estimate what it would cost if different scenarios could possibly happen, and you rely on past experiences or past history, historic data to help guide you, essentially guess what could possibly happen, and if at all, what is the probability of that happening, and if it happens, how much could it possibly cost? And so you also consider catastrophes. So there's that aspect of catastrophic risks or risk exposures. So you also want to see, do you have exposure to any catastrophic risk? And if you do, what is the possibility of that happening? Or if you don't, then just general exposure of losses, how much could it possibly cost the company? So for me, it would be an insurance company. So like you mentioned, I'm in auto. So for me, a catastrophic risk would be like a hurricane hitting a state, like let's say like a Hurricane Katrina. If you had like majority of our business was there in Louisiana, and then this hurricane comes and essentially wipes out most of the roads and obviously writes off cars. So that would be essentially, let's say 90% of your business, 90%, if 90% of your business is in one state, one hurricane hits it, that means you have 90% of your book is in losses. So that would be a catastrophic risk that would possibly set a company to insolvency. So what you would do, so as the actuary, you would recommend, okay, you shouldn't have 90% of your book in one state because of the exposure of putting everything in one state. You're opening up yourself to a catastrophic loss that could put you out of business. So you gotta spread risk, which you see in many other businesses, but sometimes you need a professional to come and tell you, spread your risk. So then the actuary can come and say, okay, we should have only 20% of our book of business in a state. Otherwise, it should be spread out where no one state has more than 20% of the book. And then from there, so so there's different actuaries that do different things. So me specifically, I price the premium. So how much does an individual pay for their auto insurance? So I am the one who will look at, so if let's say I'm in charge of one state, so I will group areas. I'll be like, okay, this area of the state is coastal. They are more open to hurricane. They are more exposed to hurricane losses. So in that area, I will price their premium higher because of their higher risk. Or if you are in an area where there have been higher police reports of thefts or breaking into vehicles, that kind of stuff, you will find your premiums are higher. So like as a general, like just as an individual, when you shop for insurance and you put an address that's in like a downtown area, you'll see your premium will be higher versus if you put an address that's like in a rural area. So that's how you consider external factors to price. At the end of the day, you need bulk so that everybody's sharing risk, so that it's like broken down. So when people say, insurance is a scam, right? I keep paying premiums and I don't have any losses. And then the one time I have an accident, my premium goes up. So essentially, you're put in groups and you're all paying for each other. That's how your premiums stay low, because of you're paying premiums of, let's say arbitrary, $200 a month. You pay 200, no, not a month. Let's say $100 a month. You're paying $100 a month on premiums. And then your car is worth, let's say $50,000. If you have an accident tomorrow and your car is worth 50,000, you will be paid 50,000. You won't be, it's not a savings account. So paying the $100, otherwise it would be, okay, you put $100 aside every month. Your car gets written off. Will it be enough to pay off, to buy another one the same value? So essentially, you're putting everyone in a group, and then you share the risks among the group. So once you have a loss, you've switched to a different group. Now you're in the group of risks for who have filed claims versus risks of people who don't have any claims. So that's why your premium will go up, but it will not go up 50,000. It will just go up a little bit. But yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, that's such a long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
But we got the idea. So it's about risk, it's about probability, it's about cost ultimately. And then there are different factors. And what I should have said at the beginning is Tanya is clearly based in America and the US. Because so what you're saying is someone who lives downtown or like in the inner city, the cost will be different as opposed to someone who lives in a rural area. And then things which are factored in is maybe if it's a high risk or catastrophic risk area like Louisiana. Is it Louisiana? You said, yeah.
Yeah, that's where hurricane.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So things like that. Okay. So now on your, so clearly probability, that's all maths. So when did you realize that you were interested in doing or pursuing a professional in actuarial science and your love for maths?
For me, it's just been, it was easier. I just, like of all the subjects in school, maths was just the one that it was black or white. This is the answer. There's no room for interpretation. So it's not like 1 + 1 equals, it's always 2. There's no, if this, it will be 2. If that, it's 4. You know, it was black and white. So for me, that's why I'm drawn to maths. And then each country you go to, it is the same. The answer will always be the same. Versus if you do anything else, any business degree, any like things are perception based. So it depends on from what, like, how did the person perceive it? How was this person raised determines how they view certain things. But then with maths, it's like, go to Alaska, go to North Pole, go wherever. 1 + 1 will always be 2. So that's why I'm drawn to it. The simplicity of it.
Okay, yeah, because it's the same wherever you go.
Yeah.
So, but then now you could have done so many things with math. Why particularly actuarial science?
So I originally wanted to do engineering. When I finished high school and I was trying to figure out, what degree I should do in college or university, I was down to, okay, so my dad is by profession an accountant, and he is math minded. So at first, that's what I wanted to do. And then he was like, nah, accounting is really addition and subtraction. There's nothing much beyond that. So I was like, I kind of wanted more of a challenge. So that's why I was thinking of engineering. So then I started researching into engineering. And then, as luck would have it, some distant uncle happened to visit us during this period. And he was an actuary. And he was, at that time, one of 3 in Kenya who there were only 3 actuaries in Kenya, and he was one of them. And he asked me, hey, I hear you're looking into going to school. What do you want to study? So I said, I want to do engineering. And he asked me why. And I said, because I like maths. So I think it will be easier for me to do something that I am naturally good at versus, everybody pushes their kids to do either you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or, like something medical. And I'm very blood, no, like they're just, and then lawyer, I like to talk, but I don't want to read.
You just want the maths. It's straightforward. 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
once you understand it, that's it. You don't have to study much about it. But then, like with law, it's like you have to cram all these laws. And I'm just like, no, I think that will be a struggle. Let me do something that will come easier for me. So I explained that to him, and he was like, have you ever heard of actuarial science? And I was like, no. Then he said, go look it up. And I bet you it's better than engineering. So I was like, oh, okay. So then I went and I started reading on it. And for me, what drew me to it was the unknownness. It gives you safety knowing that no matter what your answer is, it's always going to be wrong because you. So you're really just trying to get to as close as possible as what it could be, because just think of whatever big, like let's say right now in Kenya, there were demonstrations. There was a lot of losses in terms of property losses, business losses, and that kind of stuff. Whoever who calculated the insurance premiums for be it the business premises or the vehicles, because of there has been a history of, there have been prior examples of demonstrations and where damage has occurred, they consider it in their pricing. But if there has never been, so probably the first time there was losses in of property and that kind of stuff, I bet you the premium amount that people paid was underpriced because of whoever who estimated that amount never considered it as a possibility. So for me, that's where the innovation comes in, is because you have to constantly be thinking what could possibly happen that we've not thought of. COVID happened. Nobody had ever thought of COVID. For the car industry, it was a blessing. We made so much money because nobody was driving, but you're still paying premiums, but your car is parked. So for us, we're just collecting this money and we have no exposure. And then there were fewer accidents because there were fewer cars on the road. But then what do? We reduce prices because of COVID wasn't ending. And then suddenly the world opens again. And now our prices are down here. Now we're trying to come back up, you know? So it's like, it's constantly changing. That's what attracted me to it, is that it's not stagnant. It's a constantly moving wheel. So it's interesting to me.
Yeah. But that's interesting that on one side you like that maths is set, but then now you come into this place where there's the unknown. So yeah, that's interesting.
But
So
you
now,
can calculate then.
okay.
It's unknown, yes, but then we can try to put a number to this unknownness that makes you have to think outside the box.
Interesting. So now, like, what does the training involve? And is it the same essentially wherever you are, or if it's in the US, your training will be a bit different than someone in Kenya?
I think that's a difficult question just because I haven't worked in another country.
Yeah.
But when I was in consulting, I did go to some conferences and interacted with some actuaries from Australia and Europe. And at the end of the day, America is always different. Like they're always trying to be different because even the society that like you go through in America is different versus like the European one, they certify the Aussie, like they're all kind of like, they do it the same way where if you have accreditation in one country, it can be transferred to another versus US is just like its own thing. They're always trying to be different, in my opinion. So yeah, the way they go through stuff. And then I think also in the US, it's very, it's restricted where you have to pick a path. So if you say, okay, I want to do cars, you can only do cars. And what in cars? You want to do pricing, you only do pricing of cars. If you want to do reserving, where you're telling the company, put this much money aside, you can only do reserving. If you want to do healthcare, you can only do healthcare. But then in other countries, it's a little more fluid, like because it's the same concept. So if you can apply it in healthcare, you should be able to apply it in this other place. But then the US makes it very, very what is it? Well,
less fluid, I guess.
I
Less
know there's a word,
flexible.
I'm just not
Yeah.
finding right now.
So then what training do you have to do? Uni?
Yeah, you have to do uni and then you have to do exams. There's exams you have to pass for the accreditation. So yeah, it's like a long journey. But then I think at the end of the day, like any career, in my opinion, you have to be in it to learn things. Like what you learn in the textbook won't explain to you every sort of scenario that could possibly be there, because of the textbook that will even talk about COVID is still being written right now. So you have to kind of be there to, to learn it. And I think usually, and I see it in this field, to be successful in it, you have to be able to take the education as the first step, but then you have to actually also like apply your own, like, someone who can think beyond what they've been told. That's when you'll be successful. Otherwise, if you're like, okay, book blah blah blah, chapter blah 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 said this, I don't know what is happening here, so I've not seen it, and then you're shut down. So that's for me. If you cram into, because there'll be people who can pass exams and get the accreditation, but then they just want to be successful in the profession because of, can you apply knowledge and actually, think and do something? I don't know.
Yeah, no, but so it's the application that really matters, that will set you to a successful career.
Yeah.
You can't just cram and just hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. what the book said is what exactly you do. And I guess it's because of the unknownness, you have to really apply and
yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Because a lot of the stuff I did in school, I actually don't use it right now. No, because of that, as you climb up, that becomes the analyst's job. So you start from an analyst and then so now you have an analyst doing that, meaning now you're being paid for your brain outside of what you actually study, like because that's now that's why I'm saying it's like they're just setting the foundation. Now you have to come up from the foundation. So you did the work in class, that sets you up for analyzing data and that kind of stuff, and doing the math to figure out, okay, what's the trend? Where is this going? What does this mean? But then once you climb up, now you have to think beyond that, because now there's someone else who you have trained to do that. Now, what are you doing? So, yeah.
So the application becomes very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what are some of the challenges when you're going through that training? I can imagine there's, as you said, if you're used to a system where you're cramming, now you'll have to learn how to apply. So what sort of challenges come when you're training?
For me, what I think the challenges is the rigidity of the math, where this is the answer. There's no if, buts, or however. So you have to now learn the calculus, all these difficult math that in reality, nowadays computers will do all that stuff, but you still have to learn it. Yeah. So if it was up to me, I would take all that stuff out, because nowadays the computers are doing it. So why do you have to go and do it? But
you have to learn the principle.
You have to know behind because otherwise it becomes a black box. Because now you don't even know what's happening. You just go, okay, I plop in these numbers in there, then the computer will tell me this answer. But then you also kind of have to know what it's doing. So it's saving you time, but you should also understand. But I think that's where the challenge is, where a lot of people drop out, where the intense math you have to do or get by to now get to the place. Because I think there's a lot of people who would be really good at it, but then they will not go through the steps to get to the promise, like the struggle to get to the
we're too impatient, maybe.
Or even the work and effort that's required. Some, you may not, you can know, hey, I'm really good, just naturally, I'm really good at analyzing stuff. So you decide, let me go into this. I'm good at analyzing stuff and thinking, considering multiple scenarios. Let me go into this field. And then you come there and you find, oh my gosh, this is complicated maths. No, I don't want to do it. Then and each exam is harder than the previous one. And, then now you're like, And then there's also those exams that I didn't like, where it's for rules and regulations and regulations of states. And now then I'm like, I ran away from law. Why? Why do I need to know this stuff? But so there's those hurdles, which I think either way, whichever path you take, there'll always be something you don't like. You just have to push past it.
So then now, with what you know now, and I know you've said like now there are computers that can do for you some of this maths. With what you know now, how do you think, or what do you think you'd have done to overcome some of the challenges you had when you were training?
I'd say time management.
Okay. What was the issue with time management?
I work best under pressure. So I procrastinate a lot. I'll just be like, okay, maybe I have an exam in 6 months. And I'll be like, that's so much time. Then I'll go and look at it. I'll see, okay, how many chapters do I need to cover? I'll be like, I think I need just a month. And then you start doing it in that month and you realize, oh my gosh, I needed more, but now it's too late. You can't rewind time. So I think that, first of all, procrastination is not my friend. Nowadays, I tell myself procrastination costs money so that I can get to stuff, because I'm like, it's gonna cost me if I procrastinate. I just don't know how much it's gonna cost me, but I know it's gonna cost me something. So yeah.
Excellent. And then now for you, you did your studies, you moved from Kenya to the US. So in settling, how was that process of settling in a new country? You're far away from home, you have this subject with rigid maths in there. You love it, of course, but so how is the process of settling in a new country?
I think it actually helped, like having a difficult degree helped because it kept me busy. But otherwise, it's very difficult. It's very lonely. You don't know, you know, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it was easier to make friends when you're younger. Once you start getting older, it becomes harder to make friends. So now all your friends, your core community is in another country. And then you're in this city by yourself. You know nobody, totally different culture. So everything is a culture shock. So being having something that took a lot of my time made it uh less traumatic. I know that's so dramatic, but
No, but it's true.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then now when you finish your training, what are some of the options you have of where I know you said like in America, maybe you'll be restricted pricing, you know.
Yeah.
So
So usually your first job
Mhm.
kind of directs you where you go. So like actually, no, my first internship, I had an internship when I was in school. It was in health, it was on the healthcare side. And it was so boring. Like, oh my gosh. Like I clock into work at 8. By 8:30, I'm already like, it's only been 30 minutes. Meanwhile, I feel like I've been here for 4 hours. Like it was so torturous. And from that, I knew I don't want to go down healthcare. You know, like to be let me not be morbid, but basically your risk is will they die or will they survive? That's it. There is no,
in between.
but then now COVID, huh? So that's I'm sure that's changed things for them. But it was very like, very, very predictable because of this. There's already a lot of data on the different health conditions and that kind of thing. But then now, anyway, let me not even get into that rabbit hole of, but at that point,
Yeah.
to me, it felt very boring. So from there, I decided, no, I want to do something else. So then when I was done and I started applying for jobs, I specifically applied for companies that did not do healthcare. It was just whoever you are, I don't, because, I don't know what I don't know. I don't, there are so many options, but I was like, anything but healthcare, I'll apply. So then my first job was in consulting. Knowing what I know now, I should not have stayed there as long as I did because I kept staying. I hated it, but I kept thinking it was going to get better. And also the company was a big company, big name. So there was also that flash. So I stayed there, but then now I look at the position I look where I want to go and I look at how that person, like their work-life balance, how is it? Is that what I want for my future? Then I decided that's where I want to stay. But I used to look at the leadership and I felt like, oh, they're just doing the same crap I'm doing. Like, then it took me 10 years to be like, I don't want to do that. Why am I still here? So from there, then I started searching. I just knew the things that I've done, I don't want to do them, but I also don't know what I want to do. So now I was just open. This is my resume. This is my background. And I'd say I'm just looking for a non-traditional role. That's how I started looking. And I did different things. I even worked in strategy, which was interesting. But at the end of the day, I feel like that's where my passion is. Like you strategize on one thing, bring it to fruition, get it rolling, leave it for the next person, jump to another new one, you know.
Yeah. And I guess I think I can relate to that. And I think many people will relate to that point of you stay in a role that you don't like for years before you make a move. Because even and then on that note of, for you, the healthcare side of things was just too torturous. I know I've seen something on your LinkedIn that says a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points, and you find joy in figuring out the straight line. So tell us more on that.
That's interesting.
Now that you mentioned that health, it was just, so I feel like there's something you like complex, the unknown, figuring out as close as you can.
Yeah, it's just those things. Like if you sit in a class, the most boring lesson will be given by the person who doesn't understand whatever they're teaching you. In my humble opinion, very humbly, I say that. The person who understands whatever they're teaching you, like to its depth, can simplify it, like make it so simple that it makes sense. That shows you they understand it to their core. They are not just regurgitating what they've read. Because when you just come and I've just gotten a book or a PowerPoint and I'm just reading, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's bored. That means even me, I'm just reading to you what I did research, I copy pasted. I'm telling you what I've read. So when I say that I look for the straight line, it means I have gone in and understood the meanderings, everything, and I have identified, okay, our end goal is to understand point B. We are at point A. Now I have done the work of going through the hills and the valleys and the corners and the everything. And now I'm coming to tell you, this is A, and I've drawn the line A to B. I've given you the most efficient way to get to B. I've done the work. So that's why I say, for me, the satisfaction of being able to explain to someone an A to B so clearly that they get it, it makes me feel like, hey, I've understood it. But I've not put them to sleep. Hey, yeah. So for me, it's the accomplishment of doing, and just in general, just life. I'm always looking for efficiencies. If even driving in the car, if I'm being driven by somebody and I feel like they've made, what do Americans say? You've made 3 lefts to make a right. Like, it just asks me, I'm like, why are we, this is wasted time. Like, we could have just gone there. Why did you need to cross 3 roads? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just that satisfaction of knowing I could have done the long way, but I found the direct.
Direct, not shorter, but direct.
Yeah.
So then now the vision you had when you completed your studies versus now the reality you've seen, how different or similar is it? Because sometimes we have expectations on our future careers, and you go there and, like you've said, you're not using some of the things that you were taught.
Yeah.
What's been the difference when you what vision did you have when you finished?
In my mind, I thought I'd be locked in a cubicle just by myself, because I'm actually a loner. I'm okay by myself. I like to work by myself. I know when I was in college, I hated group projects. Like, I used to just feel like they're going to reduce my score because of now you'll do as good as the worst person. So now it's like, who do I have? But anyway, so in my mind, I thought it's gonna be a lone spot. I need to understand all these numbers, and then that's what I'm gonna be doing. And then when I started working, those numbers it wasn't like that. There were some, but it wasn't like that. And then I changed. I no longer enjoyed just the loneliness, I'd say. I found the other what's it called? Other opinions helped bring me thought. Like if you work with someone, then they tell you this thing, they'll spark something in you where you're like, oh, then we can do this, then that, so
feed off each other.
yeah. So I enjoyed that. So now that's actually how I got tired of that job that I stayed for forever, because it was like that. It was actually I do my part, I send it off to a manager, they review it. What happens to it? I have no clue. And then that started bothering me, because then it would be like, well, what happened? I put so much effort. I don't even know how it has helped it. I don't see it. I don't see the what my work, the results of my work. I don't see because I remember even asking my boss, if I get it wrong, what are the repercussions? And he was like, the repercussions are if a company goes under, then they'll come back and look, well, what did they actually recommend this company to do? And that's where, so I was like, so basically, the only time there'll be any excitement in this job is if a company goes under, basically. Like, so that's where I started feeling like what I need is where I can feel the effect of what I have done. So why I love my job now is because of, I can tell, I release these premiums. Oh, we are selling like hotcakes, and the was panic. What's happening? What's happening? Are those prices too low? Like I can see the effect, and then at the end of the day, I can see this. When you do the annual statement, I can see this, what I did contributed this many millions to the bottom line. This is me, versus where it's just a random, now I'm working on launching a new product. Okay, the research, it's a lot of work, but then the satisfaction of when it's successful, because I've decided it's successful.
Yeah.
When it's successful, I can be like, I did that. So what was your question? Now I've got
Even me, I've forgotten what was my question. No, the vision of what you anticipated when you first left versus the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like at the end of the day, what I would tell someone who's starting out in whatever profession, what I would tell them is, whatever you anticipate, just know that the reality will also keep changing, because you as an individual will keep changing. So don't be so strict on yourself that this is what I said I'm going to do, I must do it like this. Allow yourself to also grow into different things and change your path based on what you're now passionate about. Because I feel like when you're passionate about something, it will show in how you work. Because I feel like I was a very subpar employee in my first job, like very, very.
You've done your reflection. Honesty is the best policy.
I was like, if my first boss spoke to my current boss, they wouldn't be talking about the same person. Because I hated what I was doing. I was literally just doing enough not to get fired. Like, you're doing just enough to what
bare
are
minimum,
requirements, the way when you do annual reviews, I don't know if everybody does this in other countries, but there are, the goals that had been set, I will meet those goals.
And that's it. You're not going above or extra.
Even if I'm going, I don't even know what the above is, because I'm not invested enough to even know, hey, because you go above because of you're the one who's seeking for more stuff. Like nobody asks me to do this, that, or that. I'm the one who I want, like I'm working on a new product. I want it to be successful. I go out of my way, I start researching stuff. I'm curious because I'm invested. But if it's something that I'm not invested in, it's literally, oh, I need to submit blah, blah, blah. Here, submitted, case closed. I've done. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah,
So almost like that, the teacher you were saying who is not invested, you just come, do what, just you're ticking the box and
yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. So now in your role, you said you're involved with the premium pricing. And now this is why I wanted you to come on, because a lot of us go through stress looking for the best car insurance. So what are some things that we don't realize play a role in what will in the premiums that we pay? This can be in a general, because I know, people will be watching from different places. So in general terms, what are some things that us as the consumers we wouldn't realize this is playing a part in your premium?
Uh, insurance companies decide certain characteristics in people um represent responsibility. So the assumption is if you're a responsible person, you'll be a responsible driver.
Mm-hmm.
So we price based on what we think makes you responsible. So, for instance, financial responsibility. So, do you own your house or do you rent it? If you own it, we consider you responsible because of you made certain decisions to get you to a position to be able to buy your own house. Do you okay, in other countries, I don't know if I don't know if everybody has that, but in America, do you have debt? Like, are you drowning in debt? Do you have a low credit score, your history with money?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good? If it's
Mm-hmm.
good, you're responsible. Because what are the odds you're responsible financially, but you're so reckless on the road? And then also, are you married? Is considered, so married people are considered more responsible than single people, which I think is flawed. So this is the other thing. So now, I don't want to go into this. I feel like I'm going on to a whole other tangent.
No, you're doing well.
But so now we've split it between married men, single men, married women, single women, because of a single woman is not the same as a single man. This is my own, but they don't apply this to the industry. This is my own biases, but I feel like a single man over 40, even let's say 45, over 45, it's a choice. Versus a single woman over 45 is not a choice. So well, it could be, but not the same percentages, like the probability of it of a single woman over 45, I mean, of a woman being single over 45, the probability of it being a choice is lower than a man. So to me, the responsibility, now we're going back to pricing, are you responsible or are you not? To me, if I was to make the decision, I would price a single man over 45 higher because they must be irresponsible. Why are they single?
You haven't done your conclusive research on that, but that's just your
No, but
humble opinion.
the numbers in my data,
Yeah.
it supports it.
Okay.
But now here's the other aspect. A single woman, because when we're saying single, we're meaning legally married, not as in they could be single in the eyes of the government, but they have a boyfriend or they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
So now the data would show, okay, single man over 45 has a higher frequency in accidents, so they should be priced higher. And marriage, just in general, tends to make people more responsibility because more responsible because of, you now have a household, meaning, kids, whatever. So you end up being more responsible. So let's not look at the married people right now. So these singles, but then the data would also show single women over this age are also high frequency. Why? And to me, they are not irresponsible. Why do they have high frequency? So this is where the analysts now start pulling in data to try and figure out why is this? And then they find most of these accidents, they are not the driver.
So when you say high frequency, it's the high incidence of
yes,
of accidents.
Accidents, yes.
Yeah.
So sorry.
It's okay. You're in your actuarial mind.
So yes, the high number of incidents reported.
Yeah.
So why is it also these single women are also having high numbers? They may not be the same level as the single men, but it's also higher than the married women. Why? Then they find, okay, a lot of these accidents, it's not her who's driving, it's a different name. And the name is generally a male. So why is this? Because they're not declaring, when they go to price their premiums and they're asked, okay, is it just you? You say, yes, it's just me. And you say, nobody else is there. It's my car. I'm the only one driving. But then what happens? They're sharing the car with the boyfriend, the whoever, the brother. There are more women generally are naturals. So you have a younger sibling. Oh, yeah, you can borrow my car. You have someone who's having some trouble. Yes, you can borrow my car. So now you realize the single woman, you're not only insuring her, you're insuring her and her community. Everybody who she's supporting, because she's going to be more generous with giving her car. In fact, even if you think about it in life, it's you always, if you need help, it's easier to ask your single friend than your married friend or married female, because of you ask your married friend, and she's like, I need to talk to my husband. I'll let you know. So now when it's just her, it's easier to get whatever you need, versus when there's another opinion coming into this, then it will be like, we've thought about it. And so so that's the other reason.
I hear, because I think if I'm not wrong, I think you explained one time, it's the car that's insured, whereas for us, it's us who are insured. So for us, I don't even think you'd want to drive someone's car because you wouldn't be insured unless your own insurance covers you to drive another car.
But it's actually both. It's the car and the individual that's insured. So the car is insured that as long as the person who has an accident with it has permission, like it's not been stolen, my insurance will pay for my car. But I'm also insured that if I rent a vehicle and I have an accident in the rental, not my own vehicle, whatever coverage I have on my car will be covered on that rental. So if I have collision, up to whatever amount, that will be applied to the rental vehicle. So also on that note, if your car is only insured up to 50,000, then you go rent 100,000 vehicle, then you total it, your insurance will only pay 50,000. The other 50, you're on the hook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
it's just based risk.
And
because even when you're pricing, you cannot price based on anything considered discrimination. You can't say black drivers are worse drivers than white drivers. You can't do that. But yet you can age discriminate, because you can say drivers under 21 are, data is proving they are in more accidents because of their inexperience. And then also at the same time, you can say drivers over 70, a lot of them need to not be driving and they keep having accidents, like that's, I think that's the only discrimination they allow, the age one.
Yeah. But then again, the data will show something, and then that's what they base it on. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to prove.
Yeah. So then now sometimes when we're looking for car insurance and you get really, really cheap ones,
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Sometimes it can be just like a competition thing. So a company wants to really grow and they're basing their prices on volume. So they're like, okay, if I have a lot more, then I've spread the risk even more. So it's like if you have really high premiums and then you only sell 10, and one of these 10 totals their car. All these 10 are paying. So if everybody else is paying $100, now your company, you're charging $200. So you've only collected $2,000 because you've only sold 10. And then one of them has an accident and their car is totaled, you have to pay 50,000. Have you profited or made a loss?
Made a loss.
Now, let's say you're coming into the market and you're seeing, okay, I need to my book of business, meaning the premiums I'm collecting is really small. I feel like I'm really exposed. Everybody in the market is paying $100 right now. That's the market average. Let me price mine $80. And then I'll get 100,000 people will buy my coverage. I'm losing 20 per policy, but then if I was at 100, I wouldn't get the number I've gotten. I'd be competing with everybody else. Now I'm removing myself and standing out as the lower price. Everybody will come to me. Then I'll have such a huge book that even that's the difference, I'll still be profitable because of now it will be absorbed. The losses will be absorbed by my volume of premium. And there's people, so you just have to pick a strategy and then do it well. Whichever, if you're trying to go low priced, now go low price, but then you also have to try and mix it with also good risks so that not everybody is the worst of the worst where it's just loss, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. So is there an ideal amount of time we should be spending on finding the best deals? Or just...
I don't know, but me, I think you should always shop around. Every time it's especially when there's something going on in the world. Shop.
Okay.
Because
but then that will tell you if you've got, say, like a year, your insurance is for a year, then if something is happening midway, then...
Let me ask you though, I don't know, but do you guys pay upfront or do you pay monthly?
You can choose. You can pay either yearly or you can pay monthly. But then usually I've seen when I'm looking for mine, if you pay monthly, I think you pay more.
Yeah. You pay for that convenience and the service charge, whatever. Okay. But then if you cancel, do they refund you?
I don't think so.
What?
If I'm not wrong. I know, like at the beginning, they give you like a 14-day cooling period where, okay, maybe...
so you're stuck to it.
I feel like, yeah.
So this is where now they say America, this is why competition drives competition and regulation, because so competition drives the price. So as much as you can look and say, okay, there's this happening, the prices should be higher. But then if everybody's price is low, you're stuck. You can't raise it because now you'll be the one with the 10 policies. So the competition will control you. So, but then regulators also make, because of, sometimes, to avoid people coming in cahoots, because now what if you have like 4 big companies, all these 4 CEOs meet and they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's price all of us like this, put all these rules and restrictions, and then people have no choice because with car insurance, it's the law, you must have it. So now if they all meet, that's why you have to have a regulator. So with us, our regulator has said, because of insurance is your pricing for future losses, right? So you price it for the months. So if you've paid in advance for let's say it was a 1-year policy, you've paid for the full year in advance. You, as the insurance company, I have not provided you that peace of mind for the 12 months. I've provided you for E as the time is going. So in the end of January, I've provided you for January only. End of February, I've provided you for January and February. If end of March, you say, you know what, I found a cheaper provider and I want to cancel, I should refund you all the ones from January, February, April to December. I should refund you all that because I haven't provided you service for those months. I've only provided you January to March. So I keep those 3 months, and the 75% left over, I'm supposed to refund to you. So as that's what our regulator has done, you must refund the money. So in America, you can shop at any time. If you find a cheaper price, you call your insurance company and you say, hey, I'm canceling as of today because I've already gotten. And then they even coordinate. You can even tell them this new one is starting at midnight of blah, blah, blah date. Yours, you cancel. So when you're calculating how much you're refunding me from midnight of blah, blah, blah to
the end of it. Yeah. Then, like, I don't know if it's the same there, but for us here, like, if I do the yearly one, then the next renewal, there's such a huge jump.
Up?
And up.
Okay.
Always up, never down. But that time, maybe I haven't had an accident. Yeah. So what could be going on in that?
That could be the market.
Just the market.
The market. Other people raise rates. Everybody raises rates. And then you see, like, okay, so like, for instance, right after COVID. So remember during COVID, no one was driving for what, 2 years? Those rates had come down. People are just reducing. So then what happens is you feel the loss 6 months later. So for us, our policies are 6-month policies. For you guys, it would be 1 year. If yours are 1-year policies, you feel the effect of these losses months later. So now the world opens, people get back on the road. It's like everybody forgot how to drive. Accidents are like all over the place. And then remember, our prices are now too low because of people are locked into this price for whatever amount of period they bought. When it opened, it's not like now you're told, oh, okay, so starting from tomorrow, since the world is open, now your price goes up. No, you will pay whatever you're locked in on. So, and it will be an underpriced amount. So then now, at the end of that period, you have all these losses and the premiums are low. So that means the companies are now overall running at a loss. So what do? They shoot the prices up to recover those losses. And once it becomes like
what domino.
Domino.
One raises and then
so when all these insurance companies look at each other, what everybody's doing. So you hear, oh, that big company, and then there's the market leaders is what they're called. So the big companies, once they raise their rates, everybody else now knows they can raise their rates. So everybody's raising their rates. So now you are on the low rate from the good period. It's run out. Now you're coming, okay, I'm ready to renew. You're finding this new one that's been jacked up. So now, and then you shop around and everybody's high.
Exactly. So even what made me think of this episode of doing it with you, I remember, I don't know if it's the same there, but you can have the option of auto renew. So they'll just renew it. But I stopped it when I realized you're not getting a good deal. So I'd stopped it, and then I must have traveled, and then I came back and I found a letter saying, oh yeah, your insurance ended. We hope you found, something. And then I realized I'm not insured, but thankfully it was after I'd left my usual role. So there wasn't that urgency. But then now I'm stressed because I'm like, I think I needed to use the car like in 2 days' time. So now I'm stressed. I'm trying to find, okay, what's the best deal? And then that whole process is annoying anyway.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh gosh. So that's what I was like.
But I don't know where you guys buy online, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's cheaper online. A lot of old school people still want to walk into an office, talk to an insurance agent, and the agents have their additional, because the agent has to be paid.
Yeah.
So just know, like, it's gonna, and also the other thing is it's also cheaper to buy direct from the insurance company, because even online, some of those companies where they'll show you rates for all these multiple insurances are agents. So they have their cut as well. So if you go and you see, like shopping for flights, if you go to those websites, then they show you all the prices. Then you see, oh, so-and-so company is the cheapest. Go to so-and-so site.
Direct.
Quote it.
Yeah.
And then buy from them.
That's a good idea.
It will usually, at least here, it will usually be cheaper, even cheaper than that. Because now we want you to buy from us. So what we were gonna pay the agent, we will extend that discount to you.
Excellent. And then now, why is it not a good idea to give false information when you're looking for car insurance?
Because when you have a loss, it will be considered material misrepresentation. Then that's fraudulent. And now you've lost everything. We don't have to pay you if you lied about anything. So, but then it has to be something considered material.
Yeah.
And then also in America, it has to be provable. Yeah. So let me see. Like, for instance, let me give you with home insurance. If someone you're asked, what sort of house do you have? Is it concrete? Let's say, is it concrete? If you have a concrete house, your insurance will be significantly cheaper because of it. Like, for instance, it will be slower to burn. If there's a fire, it's more likely to be salvaged versus these ones of ours, our cardboard houses. If the fire catches,
that's it.
It will spread, and the next thing is a total loss. So let's say you come there and you say you have a concrete home, and you see nowadays they just see on that you can see on the what is it, Google? Is it where they just a satellite? It's like a satellite. They don't have to physically come to check, hey, is this wall concrete? So then you have a loss. And then turns out your house was just this regular. So you've saved yourself all this money in premiums because you've been paying cheaper premiums. Then now you have a loss, your house has burned down. And your house is worth 400,000. And then they tell you, nope, you lied. So that's why now someone will, if it's like a huge loss like that, then now you have to get a lawyer to try and say, I misunderstood it, I didn't, whatever. Like, you know.
So best just give the right information.
Yeah.
Because in the long term, it's, the premium, may be low, but if something happens and they don't pay out, then now you've lost out more.
Yeah, because even the ones for address, there's a lot of people who lie where they live. They'll use maybe their parents' address. And nowadays, with all this technology, back in the day, it was easy to say you live where you don't live, because how will they know where you are? You'll just be like, yeah, I live there, and I'm there a majority of the time. And then now what we are doing is you give discounts to people who put the app on their phone. This app is seeing where you are. So if you're always downtown, 2 a.m. you're downtown every day, and then you have told us you live in whatever
some rural place.
Yeah, and you've only been there once in the whole year. So then but then nowadays I'm sure in other countries it's very easy to deny a claim. Here it's a lot harder because of lawyers. Yes, actually, in America, one of the reasons why the prices are so high is because of lawyers. If there were no lawyers, the insurance would be like half what they cost right now.
Oh,
wow. So states or areas where they have a lot of litigation happening, where they have, that's the other reason why inner cities cost more, because of there's a lot of lawyers advertising. If you drive around America, you'll see all these billboards call 1-800, da, da, da. Have you been in an accident? They'll come on TV, all this. So places where they have a lot of litigation, because we'll get that data of the lawsuits per county, what's been filed, those prices go up because once lawyers are involved, the cost to the insurance company goes up because of now the insurance company has to pay lawyers. And then whatever the settlement amount will be more expensive than if it was just an individual. And yet for the individual, they come out with less because of these lawyers.
They'll take
charge you their percentage of what they're keeping is they end up getting more than you who was in the accident. So if there were no lawyers involved, we wouldn't have to add that additional expense. The cost would be cheaper. That's it. Shop around.
Yeah.
Shop around. And even if your rate doesn't go up, that's a sign. When your rate just stays the same, no, there's cheaper insurance outside. Because one of the things we try to do as an insurance company is to keep customers. You don't want people leaving. And research shows people are more likely to stay with you if their premium stays the same. If you decrease it, they will shop around. You increase it, you decrease it, they will shop around. Because of this, the mentality is, if you increase it, I'm already like, why is it so high? Let me go look. There has to be something cheaper. And then also, if you decrease it, people will be like, oh, you decrease it. There must be a cheaper option out there. They go shop around. But then if it stays the same, they don't even notice. They just, when you've done the auto renew, they don't even know it's been renewed. They are just like, I had car insurance for 10 years. Yeah, from college. Actually, the one I got from when I graduated from college, I changed it February this year.
Wow.
I've had the same company since then. I've reduced my years. It's not been 10 years, obviously. That mapping, you're like, wait, you worked at the same company for 10 years and you're still 10 years later.
But that's interesting because here mine, they always went up. There was never a time when they stayed the same. It's always going up. And then
because that's how they retain.
Okay.
You keep it the same. You only increase it when when there is there is a reason why it must be increased. And for me, once they increased it, and in fact, they didn't even increase it because of societal blah, blah, blah. My husband had an accident. And then I had never declared that I've changed my status and now so I've been getting this same price for years, which obviously now it was actually, I was now overpriced, if you think about it, because of my car is getting older. It's the same car. The car is getting older. So really its value is going down. My insurance should be going down.
Yeah.
Because of its value is going down. But then they knew once you touch that number, I'll start looking. So they kept it the same. But then the moment I had a loss, it was like, wait, let's reassess this. Oh, wait, this person, who's this person who was in this car when this accident happened? Wait a minute. I don't think she's alone in this household. There's more people in this house. So and then they changed my insurance, the cost. I was like, oh, that's what you're doing? Let me shop around. Now I started looking around. But usually car insurance, especially when the economy is like up and down, it goes up. But housing, the ones for houses in America stays the same forever. Like it rarely changes because of the exposures to, because of like a car is a moving target. So it's more likely. But then for a house, as long as there's nothing crazy, there should be nothing that happens to it unless the users of the house do something like start a fire or but like external environmental factors are happening to the house. It's rare. So they rarely have like huge loss. They have more, I don't know. Like
it's less, yeah.
their profit is like very stable. It's very stable. For cars, it's up, down, depending on just what's happening. Oh, a lot of people are traveling now. Oh, people are being forced to work in the office now. More people are driving. Oh, there's a lot more congestion on the road. There's a lot of factors that drive the losses with the car insurance.
Yeah. And are there any myths that you guys hear from consumers about car insurance that you'd like us to know that's not true?
The one I was saying where people say it's a ripoff.
Yeah, yeah.
Because people think they're paying for, when they buy insurance, they're paying for a loss. So when the loss happens, why is their premium going higher? But no, the service you're buying is not for the loss. You're buying for peace of mind. That's what you're buying. That's really what you're paying for. You're paying that no matter what happens, I will get compensated. Like, I will not walk away with nothing, with no car, and now I have to go buy a new car and all that is lost. So it's the peace of mind knowing that if something happens, I will get refunded for the loss. It's the peace of mind. That's what you're paying for. So you not having a loss does not mean you need a refund, because the service was provided. You didn't have to worry.
And then now when it comes to payouts, why is it such a battle for insurances to pay out?
That depends on the environment. That's really, because like us, it's not.
Okay.
The reason it's not a battle is because of the market. When one big company guarantees we are not, what did they started the thing of no hassle pay, or those ones where you submit your pictures, or you take your car to be evaluated. As soon as they've approved, you're paid immediately. When consumers know these people do it like that, they will go there. So now everybody else, now competition forces everyone to change their standards. Because of, if you have a loss with a company and you had such a hard time getting paid, even if you go shopping and you see their price is cheaper than the rest, you'll be like, nah, I am not going back there.
Yeah.
So when people, it's a customer service thing. So if it's happening there, it means that everybody is not prioritizing customer service. So now it's easy. People only do what they have to do. So if they realize, well, if I can dilly-dally on making these payments and keep the money in the bank and have an annual I can submit to investors that I still have this much. I haven't, delaying payments, makes your book look good for a longer period, So they will do it. But then once everybody else is not doing that, and then now you become the only one, no one will come to you, then you're forced. You'll be like, okay, people are not buying us. Maybe it's this. Okay, now we have to change strategies or whatever. But yeah, the market really forces you to do what you need to do. So with insurance and many other businesses, if you let it be just the market, as long as there's no colluding with big companies, that's why I don't like monopolies. These Safaricom's and them. I don't like that, because of they can do whatever they want and nobody can control them because of they're the only ones. But as long as it's a free market, the market will push people into doing the right thing, because of everybody is trying to do better than the next. So you keep doing, you'll add this to beat this other person, then now they have to match you where you are, then the next person does this. So if you leave the market to just run free without any colluding, it will be good. But that's ideal.
Yeah. And then now, if we come back to your role as an actuary, are there any myths that you've heard about you guys in general?
Yeah, we are locked in the back cubicle, crunching numbers all day. And we're all nerds. Just
with
socially awkward nerds.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's far from the truth.
No, in fact, I think, first of all, even just the role, it's not a silo. You have to work with other departments, other people, because of everything you're doing depends on everybody else. Because your decisions is never on one, like so you have to consider all these other scenarios. So you're forced to interact. You have to talk to salespeople to understand what's happening on the ground. You have to talk to IT people for the data and that kind of stuff. Yeah, you have to talk, like, literally you have to interact with them, and to get a full picture, to be good at your estimate, you need a full picture. Yeah, and then I think the most number crunching I've done is with school.
So it's a bit less when you're in the real world.
Yeah. There's even a joke, like, in the industry, that an actuary is the person who can do simple math. Because of now you've done such complex stuff that now someone comes and asks you, what's 2 + 2? You're like,
you don't know.
What's that?
That's so interesting. You forget the basics.
Yeah.
Yet you needed it to build the foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then now how is some industries are mostly male dominated for you guys. What's the situation?